Welcome to this session, everyone. My name is Shogesh Mehta. In this quick session, we are going to talk about Jenkins configuration. So guys, we all know Jenkins is very popular and widely used CICD tool by the enterprises. When working on this powerful CICD tool, it's always good if one understands the basic configuration. When I say basic configuration, it means what is the Jenkins Home, what are the different configurations, how we can configure the things, where all the configuration is stored, where all plugin configuration goes, how you can see what jobs are scheduled, how you can see what is the configuration of job, what is the status of that particular job, whether the last job got completed or it gave any error, any change configuration related things. So guys, I believe it's very important to understand the configuration. So guys, I will take you through a couple of things which are very basic, and I can assure if you just log into Jenkins server, you can easily find the information which I'm going to share, because I also refer that particular Jenkins page. So you can see on my screen Jenkins Home. So basically guys, Jenkins Home is the home directory of the Jenkins. It is by default set to home directory of the Jenkins user. Next thing is number of executors. So number of executors is basically number of parallel job which can run on the Jenkins server. By default, it is set to number of CPUs on your machine, but you can tune it. You can make the number less or the bigger one, up to you. Then environment variables, basically these are key value pairs. These are applicable for every build on every node. Key value pair may be, let's say you mention build underscore user is equal to test user. So that variable or that environment variable will be exported to all the builds. Then guys, Jenkins URL. This is the URL by which you access the Jenkins server. SSHD port. This is the target SSH port for Jenkins SSH server. When you want to run Jenkins command using CLI, this SSHD port is used. The next thing is GitHub server. For example, you are using some version control system for your Jenkins server. So you can specify this is going to be my GitHub server where I will store my Jenkins repositories. Then guys, email notification. This is the name of email server which you use in your setup. If you don't define any email server, by default, whatever email configuration or email server you got on the machine where Jenkins is installed, that will be email server. So let me show you these things quickly before I jump to the next section, which is again important one and very much required to understand the configuration. You can see here I am already logged into Jenkins web page. Here this is the home screen. I'm clicking on manage Jenkins. Here if I click on configure system, it is going to take me to system configuration. Okay, you can see home directory that is presently where live Jenkins, which is the default one. Number of executor is set to 2 because on my machine I got 2 CPUs. Then another important thing, environment variables. Right now it is unticked. If I tick it, it will ask me to add variables. I can add variables, let's say gen underscore test. So I'm just setting value to be test. Whatever your variable, like let's say you want to change the path, you want to set shell variable, or you want to add environment is equal to production, whatever you want, you can add the variables here. This variable is added. Let's say I want to add another variable like this, environment test. I'm saving it. So these variables are saved. You can see those are saved. I'm going back again to Jenkins because this page is getting automatically refreshed. That's the reason it automatically gone. Let me disable auto refresh temporarily. Okay, it's disabled. Let me go back to manage Jenkins again. Clicking on configure system. So we have just talked about variables. You can see variables are here. Then this is system clock. You can add system clock based on your time zone or whatever requirement of your setup. This is the Jenkins URL. By this URL, I am accessing this system. You can see here this particular port. This is the system admin email, which is not currently configured. You can put any email, like if you are admin, you can put your email or your team's email. Then SSHD port, by default, it will be random, but if you want any fixed port, you can select fixed and put any port which is not used on that system. Let's say this particular 2222 or any random port if you want to stick with, that's not an issue. Then GitHub servers, you can add a GitHub server here. Then here in the global configuration, you can add user.name and its value or email. Subversion in case you are using SVN for your version control. Then shell executable if you want to execute. Then this is email notification server. And you can see here, this is SMTP server, which will be used for sending all emails. If you're not sure what that particular information means, you can click here on the question mark. It is going to tell you what is this particular field and what data you need to enter here. This is going to be name of email server. Leave it empty to use default server, which is normally one on the local host, which I explained earlier. So guys, this is the way you can define the configuration. Here I'm clicking apply because I added some configuration earlier, the variable thing, and clicking on save. So this is the way, guys, you can check what is the configuration at present, and you can change or modify the configuration and save it. So once you save it, it will be applied to system. Okay, so let's go to next thing, which is understanding the configuration files, where all configuration, passwords, job information, plugin details, history of all the jobs, whether job was successful or failed, or what was the output from that particular job, everything is stored. So basically that all configuration logs, plugin, etc. are saved under Jenkins Home. As I mentioned, by default, Jenkins Home on Linux system is /var/lib/Jenkins. So inside that directory, there is file called config.sml, which have Jenkins root configuration. All the XML files, they are basically site-wide configuration files. User content is the files and directory which will be served under the HTTP server. Fingerprint, it stores fingerprint records. Then plugin is basically, it stores all the plugins. Plugins may be backup plugin, Docker plugin, Amazon EC2 plugin, all the plugins. Then workspace, that's a working directory for the version control system. Under that, there will be different jobs, subdirectory for each jobs. Then this is important one, which is jobs. For every job which you create on Jenkins, there will be a separate directory with the job name. Under that particular directory, there will be config file which specify or tells the configuration of that particular job. Latest mean it is a symbolic link to the last successful build. Then there is directory called builds. It called build ID. Under that, there is build.xml file, which is the build result summary. Then log, which tells what happened to that particular job, at what time it got executed, whether it was failed or successful. Then change log is the change log data. So let me quickly take you through this configuration. So I'm just switching the directory to Jenkins Home, which is var lib Jenkins. And there is a file called config.xml, as I mentioned. This is primary file which got all the main configuration of Jenkins. You can see this file. It got roots root detail, what kind of security is configured, what kind of access control is configured, everything is defined here. Okay, next thing, let me show you the files inside home directory. You can see XML file, which the config.xml, which I just discussed, backup.xml, that's again configuration file. And for every plugin, there is XML file. You can see this is Hudson plugin for Git. This is Git tool. This is Git SCM. This is Subversion plugin. This is Mailer plugin. This is Shell plugin. All the plugins are ending with .xml. So all these XMLs are basically plugins. You can see here. After that, there is directory called jobs. Inside that directory, let me do ls-l. There is job, because I have created only one job with name first test job. Let me do ls-l here. Inside that, there is a build, then config.xml, last table, last successful. So I'm just checking what is inside builds here. You can see last failed build is -1, means there is no last failed build. Last stable build is equal to 1, so there is one stable build. And last successful build, this is again 1. If we do cat on the last successful build, sorry, I have to go inside this directory, and there is file called logs. If you want to see what happened inside that particular build, because I run shell script saying echo test job, that was finished, this was output, and that was finished successfully. So here, basically this is the data which you generally see on console output on your Jenkins job. So let's quickly create a new job where I can give you more idea. So let me show you again. Right now we got only one job, the first job. So let's create second job. Let me do in this way, so it will give you more idea. So right now there is only one job. So let's quickly create a second job quickly. Okay, so I am adding a new job here. Clicking on new item. Here I'm saying this is my second job, and this is freestyle project. Clicking on OK. Okay, in the job, I'm not putting much detail because this is for demo. I'm going to make it as executable shell. Here I'm typing command echo this is second job, or whatever data or whatever configuration you want to do, and I'm clicking on apply and save. So once I save this particular job, let's do ls-l on jobs again. You can see there is another job created, which is second job. If I do ls on jobs, second job, and builds, you can see everything is -1 because this job was never executed. So nothing failed or nothing went successful. So let's quickly run this job now. So again, I'm going to, this is second job, and I'm clicking here on build now. So it will build these particular job. So this is job, still it is going. Let me click here to see console logs. You can see this job is successfully finished and we got this output. And let's quickly see what is the status now. You can see last stable build is 1, last successful build is 1. So nothing failed job, so it is -1. So guys, this is the way jobs get executed and logs are saved. So inside Jenkins Home, there is directory called plugins. I'm just doing ls-l on plugins. You can see these are all plugins which are getting called. .xml, which I discussed earlier, that was plugin configuration file. So these are plugin APIs. You can see here. For every plugin, there is separate API and its config directory. .xml files are basically configuration file, those plugins which defines, okay, these are the plugins which are installed on system. And guys, the secret.key is the key file, which is basically it's a security key. So that's something which I thought to discuss with you guys. And these things which I discussed, these are very basic things, but sometimes we are missing basics. And this users, by default, there will be only one user, which is called admin user. If you create multiple users, those will be appearing under users directory. So thanks for watching this video, guys. If you have any query, any suggestion, just leave a comment on my YouTube channel. Thank you.